I must say that I'm biased too because I've had the pleasure of working with Nick and Nick's firm, and I can tell you, Nick's got an amazing reputation.
You know, I should call Nick, for me, Michael Jordan, Slam Dunk. It should be his nickname, Mr. Slam Dunk. He's good.
Well,
and
Very
he's
good.
quick.
I like the reference.
And I like the quickness of his work. He's quick and he's sharp. But we've sort of given a precursor to it, but we're going to be speaking with Nick Carter of Todd and Weld.
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting is you have a specialization in consulting to businesses and family businesses, and Nick, who's not only a premier litigator who you've done a lot of interaction with, he has a very appropriate topic to talk that's central to all businesses and to our entrepreneurial clients, and that's Nick is a senior partner at Todd and Weld, and he's going to talk about termination of employees and closely held businesses as well as family businesses.
One of my favorite topics, Nick. I hear about it every day.
So this is a little bit of a downer in the sense that this is when things are not going well. What do you do? And we're talking about, as you said, Mark, closely held companies. These are small companies. Often they're family-owned companies or
Small
partnerships.
could be under 400 million.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. And there become often some difficult personal relationships in these companies. That can be one of the reasons for the termination. But what's critical to start with in this situation is the concept of fiduciary duty. So in these small companies, each of the partners owe a fiduciary duty to each other. They must treat each other with the utmost loyalty and be forthcoming with information, not mistreat one another. So that's the concept that underlies how the partners deal with each other in these companies. If a situation goes bad and you need to terminate an employee, you need to keep that concept in mind. Are you going to be found to have breached your fiduciary duty to the employee who's being terminated? That's sort of question number one. And you got to keep in mind the sort of reasonable business judgment rule. So when you're thinking about whether to terminate this employee, is there a reasonable business basis for the termination? Or are you just really angry at your brother, your sister, the family member, this other employee who may not be a family member, and acting perhaps out of an improper emotional reason, or perhaps you're acting out of greed and you want to cut the person out from a share of the company that they're entitled to. If you're doing that, you're probably going to have a problem. So you really have to bring in a professional, a lawyer, who can help you evaluate that and determine, do you have a legitimate business reason to terminate, or are you going to face problems? And if so, what are the problems going to be? What's the cost going to be? What's the likelihood of litigation? What will that entail? What will that cost? That becomes a complicated analysis, but you have to think that through before you actually terminate.